Hello and welcome back to another character preview video. My name's Lumen and today we're having a look at Wayfinder. This is the all-new Wayfinder, a 3-player co-op action RPG featuring intense combat, deep customization, a huge world to explore and tons of loot to collect for you and your house. Become a Wayfinder and unlock their powers as you choose your own path and playstyle while pushing back a hostile force that has overtaken your world. So yeah, this game doesn't actually have full traditional character creation, but there's a lot of really cool stuff to look at. There are some pretty cool characters to check out, and there is a lot of customization to be done. I'm keen. I also want to just mention that this game's art direction and the style, the overall visuals, are some of my favorite in recent memory. Some of the areas in this game, the hub city of Skylight, has enough cool looking stuff in it to cement that as a fact. It's amazing. I spent so much time just walking around in the city looking at the pretty sights. It's phenomenal. I don't understand how more games don't look this good. It's insane. The characters look pretty good too, but oh my god, the rest of it, it's amazing. Yeah, it's amazing. I'm just gonna say that. Okay, I'm just going to say that. So, if you'd like to do a deep dive to discover all there is to discover about Wayfinder, you can find some links below. And as always, there will be timestamps. Use them, find what you're looking for, and leave satisfied. In this video, we're going to be having a look at the characters themselves, the Wayfinders, their origin stories. That's a cool little cinematic that tells you about them. Then we'll check where to get them. I'll give you sort of a brief rundown of where you can find these characters to unlock them. We'll have a look at their abilities and everything that they're about, and then after that we will just have a brief look at how customization works in the game, the cosmetic side of things, and then the outro. That's it. That's the plan. So to begin, we are just going to jump straight in and we'll start at the beginning. I'm going to try and include all the information I can about this, but I apologize in advance if I miss anything. So this is the hub city of Skylight, and here, oh my god, it's beautiful. It's so nice, and it's so much better through there. From the clips that I showed you, you can see that I can't get enough of it. This might be the most beautiful game I've played in the last, 10 years. I can't get enough of it. I cannot.
I have need of your services.
There's a character here called Omen, right? This is an important character. You discover items around the world. They're called summoning stones. And if you bring them to this character right here, then you unlock the new Wayfinders with those stones. You can find hints in the collection page and from Omen here to help you find them if you want to do it blind and actually sort of, I suppose, do it the way the game wants you to do it. But I will give you quick and dirty locations. I won't spoil anything per se, but I will tell you where to find them. Right? This is the character though. You come here, you just click on Summon Wayfinders, and the list pops up. And you see all there is to see. Now, there's more to all of this. There's 2 different screens you can use. This is where you choose the one you'd like to summon. You can sort of go through all of them over here. And then you can also, in your normal UI, go to your character menu, and you can look at the character collection here, and that will bring up the character abilities. And I feel like this is a good way to show the abilities off, because it's got a little video and everything, and that just makes it easier. So we're going to use both for this demonstration, right? Now, as we begin, we're going to start here on Omen. I'm going to mention that the first 3 characters, that's Wingrave, Silo, and Niss, are the quote-unquote tutorial or starter characters. These 3 you will get at the start of the game. You basically start with a choice of 3, you pick one, and then about 10-15 minutes later, you will have access to all 3 anyway. So it doesn't really matter which one you pick at the start, you take whatever you feel like, and then you'll get the others after that. So they're the quickest and easiest to unlock, and we're going to have a look at them first. Here we have Wingrave, the War Master. Wingrave is an Archon clad in spell-forged armor and sustained by his faith in the Architects. He's a natural leader and a true champion, always ready to defend the innocent and to smite the forces of evil. As a War Master, Wingrave excels at close combat. He specializes in supporting his allies, summoning shields of light, and healing his allies, even as he calls down divine judgment on his enemies. The cool thing about most of these characters is that you can use like all the different weapons on all the different characters, and it makes it really fun. It's a nice little game you can play to sort of see what kind of combos work for you. So this is Wingrave. We're going to have a look at his memory, which is sort of like, you could call it his origin story now. I'm going to play it, and I'll stop talking.
I remember. I am Harless Wingrave. I was a warrior, an Imperial Archon, charged to carry the light of the Architects into the darkest places, and to vanquish the forces of evil. How much time has passed? It's all vague. I remember countless enemies, cultists, monsters. Now, it seems that the Empire has been swallowed up by this darkness, that the Architects themselves may have fallen. But their light lives on in me, and I will fight to protect those who survived.
It's a pretty intense fellow. Very cool looking though. The armor is just phenomenal. It's fantastic. Like, I dig it. I really dig it. That's Wingrave. That's the basic rundown. Now, with all these characters, you can awaken them. And as you do that, you get more abilities and extras. And all of this is done by just playing the game, which is amazing. You can see the awakening bonuses up here. They are varied and numerous. A lot of it also cosmetic, as you can see. So if you go through them, you can see that there's base Wayfinder stats, echo capacity, then dies, then you keep going, then there's more echo slots, more dies. Most of the stuff I don't really know, right? I cannot give you a full rundown, but there's a lot. Then at the end here, you see on the final one, you pick up a new Wayfinder persona, which is a new visual style, and even more dies and weapon skins and stuff like that. So there's just a lot of stuff to get by just playing the game, and I love it. This guy himself, Wingrave, we're going to have a look at his abilities quickly. It's the easiest way to do it is over here. He has Righteous Strike, as you can see over there, performs a powerful radiant strike. It also has a bunch of extras on it. It reduces incoming damage by 25% while performing the ability. Hitting an enemy will cause an explosion of healing to heal Wingrave and nearby allies. Cooldown refreshed upon using a melee finisher. Pretty cool. It looks fantastic. Then we have Radiant Pulse. Forms a divine shield that blocks projectiles, grants defense boost to allies standing behind the shield. When the shield forms, it sends out Radiant Pulse, dealing damage to enemies in front of the shield. Judgment. Marks enemies for judgment, taunting them. When you hit a marked target with Righteous Strike or a weapon attack, deal bonus damage. Anyone hitting a marked target will also restore their own health. It's very cool. It's a nice kit of abilities, because like this guy, tank and healer in one, phenomenal. Divine Aegis, that's the ultimate. Creates a powerful barrier that protects Wingrave and all allies inside it, making them immune to all damage and healing them over time while standing in the barrier. That's like so good. And then Healing Pulse, that's his passive. Melee finishes and Eagle Eye hits heal Wingrave and nearby allies. Cool. Cool. And that is that for Wingrave. It's a cool character. Yeah. And I'm going to mention this at the end, but all these different characters have so much more stuff going for them. There's the echoes over here. It's a whole nother system. I watched the tutorial for this. Then you have your abilities that you can level up, right? So you unlock the ability over here, and then you can sort of put more points in them. They evolve, they upgrade over time. And then finally, there are stylistic choices that, yeah, they just keep going, basically. So with each of them, you have different variations of the character, new stuff that you can unlock, just goodies that you can keep piling on to make the characters feel more unique for you and you alone.
Recent events.
Next up, however, we have Silo. Silo is a wise, cracking smuggler, equally quick with Whip and Bomb. His people played both sides of the war between the Empire and the Maze, and Silo doesn't care about politics. He wants to help the common people improve what he can do. As a survivalist, Silo is a very versatile combatant with a bag full of tricks. He can distract his enemies with illusions and take down mobs with powerful area effects. As I mentioned with Wingrave, Silo is also one of the starter characters. You get him right at the start of the game. Regardless of what you pick, you will have him within 15-20 minutes of starting. That's the same for all three. So that's cool. Yeah, he's just one of the starter characters. Let's watch his memory and check out his backstory.
I remember. I'm called Silo. My family were smugglers, outlaws. But they lived by a code, did what was best for the people. Now, it's up to me to fight the gloom and to find out what's happened to my family.
It's kind of a nice, short, but sweet introduction to the character. It's cool because it gives you the backstory, but it also gives you a purpose. It's nice. Yeah, yeah. The awakening bonuses on the characters are much the same. You get the same stuff as you level them, but you do get more stuff, so keep that in mind.
Have given rise to a new threat.
Now, we're going to jump into this menu, and I will show you Silo. First ability. Firebomb. Toss a firebomb that ignites enemies, dealing damage over time. Causes a chain reaction with oil bomb, resulting in a larger explosion. Oil bomb. Leave a pool of oil in front of Silo, slowing enemies. Enemies directly hit by the bomb are oiled, remaining slowed even after leaving the pool, and taking additional damage when ignited by a firebomb. It refreshes a charge of firebomb when used, so you can always pop the one and then the other, which is really cool. Then we have Proto-Clone. Dash backwards, leaving a clone that pulls nearby enemies in. The clone will taunt enemies into attacking it until it expires. Then the ultimate, Arc Nemesis. Silo sends out Egg, that's EGG, to shock all enemies in the area, dealing burst of damage. EGG remains in the area for a short period of time, slowing and damaging enemies nearby. And then we have the passive, Strategic Advantage. Deal 10% bonus melee and ranged standard shot damage to enemies that are debuffed, slow, burn-in, poison, stunned, etc. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool. As a quick peek, because I did it on the previous character. I can't do this on all the characters, but I can do it on the basic ones because I have them unlocked. I can show you that he has a few different styles as well that you can pick from, and that's cool. I love how much variety there is. You know, they don't have full character creation, but they have a lot. And they have, in my opinion, enough for a game like this. Absolutely. That is Silo. Next up.
We have much.
Niss, the Arcanist. Niss is one of the Deep Eldrin. She and her clan rejected the precursors, and now she's hunted by her own people. A deadly assassin wielding powers over shadow, she's joined forces with the Seekers so she can take vengeance on the precursors. As an Arcanist, Niss can unleash devastating attacks, but relies on her speed and the shadows to evade her foes. She can teleport across the battlefield and summon shadow clones to strike at her enemies. Alright. Her awakening bonuses, as I mentioned, same as all the others. Let's check her memory out and see what her backstory is about.
I remember. I am Niss, the Blade of Shadows. My people are the Deep Eldrin, ancient and wise, forgotten by the world above. But they have been lured down a dark path by treacherous spirits. When my clan refused to kneel, our people turned against us. Only I survived. Now this darkness is swallowing the world, but it cannot conquer me. I am the Blade of Shadows. And I will bring death to false gods who have broken this world.
All right. A pretty serious addition. She's kind of hardcore. I dig it, though. I mean, she's cool. She's cool, she's cool, she's cool. Let's have a look at her abilities in our character collection over here.
Blades are sharp.
This is, by the way, one of the starter characters, as I keep mentioning. These first three you get right at the beginning. She has Shadow Step, dash in a line, dealing damage along the way. After a short delay, a Gloom clone will dash from your initial position, dealing damage to enemies it passes through as well. That's a very cool looking ability, man. Umbral Aura. Niss is empowered by Umbral magic, causing her next 3 dodges to pierce a nearby enemy with shadow. Nearby allies are also empowered for 1 dodge. Oh, in a similar way, I take it. Okay. Vengeful Shade. Briefly become immune to attacks while damaging enemies around Niss. Follow up with a light or heavy attack that causes Niss to slam back down, further damaging enemies. And following up with a dodge causes Niss to backflip away. Ha! Pretty far. The backflip is pretty cool. Right. Gloom Shroud is the ultimate for 8 seconds. Shadow Step can be used at no cost. Wow. That must feel pretty cool. Huh. Little repetitive, but it seems nice. And then Lingering Shadows, the passive. After dodging, gain AP for 5 seconds. Stacks up to 3 times. So you're going to want to keep dodging. Kind of cool how they show the character here using a massive 2-handed sword. Versus in these other ones just using smaller stuff. Also, I kind of appreciate the little Naruto hand gesture movement things there. Kind of cool. Kind of cool. Kind of cool. Alright. That's it for Niss. Now, I will just show you, because I can on this character, before we move on to the next one, I will just show you that there are some customization options available. Where do you find them again? It is in here, and then it is... Where do I go? Style. There we go. She's got a few different heads to equip. Different hairstyles, and so on. Very cool looking character overall. But now, we are going to move on to the first of the characters that you actually have to discover out in the world. It's going to be Kyros. Very unique and interesting looking character, and you will notice that they immediately have more information about the characters here. All of these new ones, I say quote unquote new ones, they have the abilities and stuff here, so we don't have to go back to the other screen, right? So we can do it all in one place if we so desire, which is good. Now, Kyros is not unlocked when you just start the game. It says here, the hint you get is Kyros is thought to be lost in the void itself. So, you just need to go and do what's called void dungeons, and then you open a gloom chest in the void dungeon, and there's a chance to find this guy. It's a reasonably good chance, so you'll open a few chests and you'll most likely get him, as far as I understand. Right? Easy enough. That's it. Void dungeons. Kyros the Arcanist. Kyros is a brilliant Arcanist from an ancient and forgotten civilization. He looks really cool, man. He has transcended his physical form and become a being of pure arcane energy, housed in mystical armor. Displaced in time, he uses his knowledge and power to help the people of the present. As an Arcanist, Kyros has vast power in his fragile shell. His best defense is a good offense, destroying enemies before they have a chance to harm him. So he has a different starting weapon here called the Epitaph, and it has Arcane Harvest, a spin-in slash that deals damage and steals ability power from enemies, increasing in power for each momentum level consumed. Right? Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Before we look at the abilities themselves, we're going to look at his memory and his origin. Shame, so that guy's backstory actually makes me a little sadder than it probably should. Poor dude. Poor dude. And in hindsight, I feel like I should have voice acted that myself. Not that I can do a very good Kyros voice, but yeah, I'm sorry. I made you guys read. Ugh. Reading. Right, let's check his abilities out. Savage Rake. Rakes the ground with violent energy, dealing damage to all enemies in front of Kyros. Arcane fragments can be consumed to cast Savage Rake without using an ability charge. So, this guy is the closest thing you'll find to like a mage in this game. The game seems to favor melee combat and, I want to say, physical stuff. Most of the characters have spells and stuff that they cast, but like there's no like pure mage that doesn't use weapons, that instead just uses spells. This dude's the closest thing you'll get to that. Next ability. Siphon Radiant. Release a wave of energy around Kyros that damages enemies and absorbs arcane power, reducing cooldowns and granting an arcane fragment. Then we have Arcane Focus. Marks enemies in the immediate area. Mark increases in power as the marked target is hit after reaching max power, or after 8 seconds. The mark explodes, dealing damage based on the power of the mark. Then the ultimate is Hand of Reckoning. Deal massive damage to enemies in a large radius around Kyros. That's like, it's super sick the way it looks. It's like a spirit bomb, but a tornado? It's kind of weird, you know? It's really cool. I'm sorry, it's such a teeny little window there, but like, it's really cool. Then we have Arcane Fragments as a passive. Arcane Fragments grant extra charges of Savage Rake. Generate Arcane Fragments by hitting enemies with Siphon Radiant, landing combo finishes, or shooting Eagle Eye targets. There you go. That's Kyros. I can unfortunately not show you the cosmetic side of Kyros, but you can imagine, as with the others, there's a lot of really cool stuff on this dude. Right. Next up. Senja the War Master. Senja is an interesting one. There are two ways of getting Senja. You get Senja by playing through the main story quest and beating the Grand Deceiver Maras boss. That's a boss that comes up a bit later in the main story, but you can get Senja earlier on by defeating Deceiver enemies in the game world. These are like mimic chests, basically, right? They are chests that are actually enemies that will attack you, and they will drop the summoning stone. It's RNG dependent, but apparently, according to most of the internet, it's pretty quick and easy to get. They say here, Senja's fans claimed she could mimic any fighting style and see through all deception. So, mimic, deception, yes, I think we can put that together. Senja. The last initiate of the deadly Iron Sisters, Senja was the beloved champion of the Imperial Arena in a world broken by gloom. She's chosen to fight for the Seekers. Senja is always seeking greater challenges, and she intends to personally crush the Precursors. Senja is a mighty war master who strikes like lightning and crushes enemies with her armor fists. She's driven by a crowd that only she can hear, and draws power from grandstanding performances. That's kind of interesting. Yeah, her starting weapon is a Colossus. It's a massive sword. Performs a quick melee attack that buffs ability power by 20% for the next Wayfinder ability used within 3 seconds. Consumes 1 level of momentum per use. Using Gladiator Slice again within 6 seconds will perform an empowered Gladiator Slice, dealing an additional 20% damage up to 2 times. This stuff sounds complex, but it's actually pretty simple when you actually jump in and play. I know that from the other characters. It's okay. Let's watch her introduction, her origin story.
I am Senja, last of the Iron Sisters. For years, the cheering crowds were my only comfort. Once my sisters were lost, all I sought was a glorious death. But the arena, the Imperial City, it's all been lost to the gloom. This world needs champions. And I am the greatest champion of all.
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty straightforward one. Nothing to feel sorry about there. It's like the starkest contrast going from Kyros to Senja. I actually kind of love it, okay? I actually kind of love it. Let's look at her abilities. She looks fantastic. She is like Junker Queen and Zarya combined. That's the two characters from Overwatch. Yeah. She's got a fantastic design. Oh, and maybe a little bit of V from Arcane, right? A little bit, because of that big fist. So, her abilities. Gladiator Pummel. Punch forward, then hold to showboat. On release, Senja punches again, fully showboating, increasing the damage on the follow-up punch and causing it to stagger most enemies. Pretty cool. Chain Favor. Oh, it's Gain Favor. Both would have worked, by the way. Hold to showboat for the roaring crowd. On release, damages and taunts nearby enemies while buffing Senja and her allies, increasing weapon power and ability power for 10 seconds. I love how each of these guys has something to help its friends. Lightning Grasp. Use lightning to damage and pull all displaceable enemies in a large cone towards Senja. Thunderous Glory. That's the ultimate. She riles up the crowd, then flashes the thumbs down at her enemy. Senja and all nearby allies gain 20% bonus weapon power and ability for 20 seconds. During that duration, Senja's weapon attacks cause chain lightning to arc between her enemies. That's... yeah. I mean, that's pretty damn cool. Like, it looks amazing. Visually, a lot of these things just look so good. Crowd Favorite is her passive. Holding input for Gladiator Pummel and Gain Favor abilities will cause Senja to showboat. While showboating, she takes reduced damage and increases crowd favor. If hit, gain crowd's favor and stack in heal over time. As the crowd's favor increases, Senja gains weapon power and ability power. Yeah, that's cool, that's cool, that's cool. Alright. Next, character. Senja looks amazing, by the way. I'd probably pick this one. Yeah, maybe I'd pick this one if I played. It's a nice one. Next we have Venomess. A survivalist. She looks pretty sick too. Actually, you know what? I can't really say what I would play. So Venomess is pretty interesting and not too hard to unlock. You see here, the Bane of the Highlands consumed more than shards of the Dark Star. So the Bane of the Highlands is the Nightmare world boss. You can summon it in the Highlands area. You fight that, it drops her summoning stone. Apparently you can also do it pretty early on. Simple enough. That's it. I'll say again, it's the Nightmare boss in the Highlands. So Venomess. Ven was the greatest spy of the monstrous maze. Alchemically enhanced and equipped with tools of her own devising, she was codenamed Venomess. With the maze lost in the gloom, Venomess now fights for the Seekers. She's a versatile survivalist. She heals her allies, even as she poisons her enemies and controls the battlefield with her toxic clouds. Yeah, she starts with a weapon called Nightshade that has Wyvern's Fury. Reloads the gun with an empowered clip. During this clip, the weapon is fully automatic, and every bullet is infused to apply a stack of poison on hit. Poison is a small dot that stacks up to 20 times to deal damage over 6 seconds. That's phenomenal. Let us watch her video. She actually looks really cool, man. I dig it.
I'm the Venomess. Call me Ven. I used to be a spy for the maze. I fought wars you've never even heard of. While you were snug in your bed, I was changing the fate of nations. I thought I was shaping history, and then it all came tumbling down. Now there's only one enemy that matters. Maze, Empire, we're all fighting the gloom. This is about survival, and I'll do whatever it takes. Let's go.
Yeah, also pretty straightforward. I kind of dig it when they have simple and satisfying ideas of what they want out of this world and for their life. It's kind of cool. Yeah. So she seems pretty sick as well. Let's check her abilities out. Transfusion, character ability. Shoot a volley of poison needles that lock onto nearby enemies, dealing damage. Hit an enemy with a needle causes a healing projectile to seek a nearby Wayfinder. If the enemy was affected by venom, these projectiles also heal a small amount over time. Pretty cool. Looks cool. Vampiric Blast. Launch a bomb that absorbs up to 5 nearby poison clouds. After a brief delay, the bomb explodes. Wait. It absorbs poison clouds? Where did the poison clouds come from? I'm assuming we're going to read about that. Dealing damage to nearby enemies and healing allies based on the number of poison clouds absorbed. Venom Thrusters. Dash in a direction, leaving a trail of poison clouds. Well, there we go. Behind you. Poison clouds damage and apply stacks of venom to enemies. Then we have Deep Breath. That's the ultimate. Fire a massive explosion that damages and applies 5 stacks of empowered venom to enemies. Empowered venom deal damage over time and count as an additional stack of venom for the Master of Venoms and Transfusion abilities. Her passive is Master of Venoms. Weapons apply venom, dealing damage over time and stacking up to 5 times. Weapon hits against enemies with 5 stacks create a poison cloud that deals damage and apply stacks of venom. Jeez, it's like a vicious cycle. A poison cloud can only be created by this effect once every 5 seconds. Yeah, otherwise the field would be spammed with them, which is really cool, by the way. That's kind of fun. Wow, okay. So she seems good. She seems really good. Nice. However, next up we have Grendel, the War Master. Grendel is obtained in another interesting way. The Shrikes knew Grendel's ferocity better than most. So Grendel, you get him from the Bloodspawn boss in the mines at the pit. It's also pretty early on in the game. You can go there relatively quick and easy. And the boss itself, a little easier perhaps than the Nightmare boss to defeat, to take down. And yeah, that will drop the stone for you. And you can bring it over here and you can unlock this character. Grendel's also a War Master. Grendel's an engine of destruction fueled by fury, a brutal veteran of hundreds of battles. He's more vicious than anything spawned by the gloom. Most comfortable in the thick of battle, surrounded by enemies, shatter the guard of your foes and cleave them to pieces in a whirlwind of death. Starting weapon is the Drakenmaw. Aftermath. Execute a sequence of 3 sweeping attacks. Each activation consumes 1 momentum level. The initial activation deals damage and pulls enemies in. The second activation is a follow-up attack that deals increased damage. The final unleashes a devastating double swing. Sounds amazing. Sounds amazing. Just keep in mind that you obviously aren't locked to this. You can use any weapon you want on this character, and it's kind of cool that you can switch around. As far as I know, I don't know if these characters are locked, but I know these guys you can choose any weapons. I already tried the sword and the shield on this guy, and I tried the gun on that. It's like you can do what you want, which is really nice. Let's view this guy's memory.
You afraid of me? You should be. I was bred for battle. I face Imperial soldiers on the surface and Balgrim horrors in the depths, and each scar gives me strength. You may fear the creatures that lurk in the darkness, but believe me, there ain't nothing out there more terrifying than me. I'm Grendel. Tell me what you want me to kill, and get out of my way.
So while he doesn't look like it, he kind of reminds me of the Char from Guild Wars 2. I don't know. I don't know. He sort of has that look to him, but only like vaguely. But his voice and just the way he's all about war and battle and rage is sort of reminiscent of the Char. The idea of it, yeah. It's kind of cool. I mean, I like it. I like it a lot. Let's look at his abilities. Tremor. Stomp the floor, sending out a shockwave in a line, dealing high break damage. Okay. Whirlwind. Ooh, rapidly spin and strike all enemies while moving for a short time. The effects and stuff in this game are just phenomenal. Mighty Leap. Oh, I knew there had to be a character that leapt. Leap forward a short distance, damaging all enemies around the landing point. That looks fun. Berserker Frenzy is the ulti. Grendel explodes with rage, dealing heavy break damage to all enemies in a large area and causing Grendel to enter Berserker Frenzy for 15 seconds. While frenzied, Grendel gains increased power, ability power, break power, movement speed, and immunity to break damage. When in this state, when the state ends, Grendel explodes, dealing damage to enemies in a large area. That's kind of insane. I mean, he gets weapon, ability, break, and movement speed, then also immunity to break damage. Like, this is just, wow. And it's 15 seconds. It's a powerhouse. Blood Rage. Grendel enters into a Blood Rage when an enemy's guard is broken. While raging, Grendel gains increased damage and movement speed, and he takes less break damage from incoming attacks. Yeah, this guy just seems like, he seems pretty tough. I just want to say, he seems like he's pretty hardcore out there. Now, we're going to move on to our final character. This one is the newest edition. I'm not sure, but I think this one actually came with the full 1.0 release. Her name is Lora, and she's an Arcanist. Lora can be found where initiates once faced a great trial. It's called the Trial of Lingering Light. It is a boss hunt that you can do in the game, also pretty early on, and apparently it's not all that hard to do, so she can unlock pretty quick and easy if this is the character you seek. Now, Lora is an Arcanist. She is the vessel of a mighty spirit, a deadly force that frightens even her allies. An orphan with few memories of her past, she is determined to master this power and wield it against the gloom. As an Arcanist, the spirit within Lora grants her tremendous power. As her rage and focus build, this primal force is drawn into our world to devastate her foes. Her starting weapon is Unity. It has an ability called Spirit Slam. Slam the shield into the ground, causing heavy break damage to all nearby enemies. Also empowers heavy attacks to cause bonus magic damage. 2 hits per pip spent. Sounds good. And she looks really cool as well. Let us view her memory.
I remember. I'm Lora. I can't remember my parents or where I'm from. I only remember running. There's something trapped inside me. Something ancient and powerful. I don't know how it got there, but it's hungry. It's always hungry. And if I let it out, people get hurt. The gloom is swallowing the world. These people need me. I don't know if I can control this power, but I need to try.
Yeah, her abilities just look so cool. And she looks cool as a character, and yeah, interesting backstory. So, Lora. Let's have a peek at her abilities. First up we have Clobber. Launch a Spirit Fist forward, smashing through enemies in its path, while channeling causes additional break damage and knocks back enemies. This is like really weirdly typed. While channeling causes additional break damage and knocks back enemies. No, knocks enemies back. I see, that's like really, this is breaking my brain for some reason. Clobber's cooldown is reset whenever Lora enters her channeling state. There you go. Sorry, I made it, eventually. Possession. That's a character ability. Allow the avatar to exert its presence, granting Lora a damage shield that reflects damage to attackers for a short duration. Also, Lora and nearby allies gain a protective aura that reduces incoming damage. While channeling, the avatar manifests to pull in and smash nearby enemies, and all party members will gain the reflective shield in addition to the damage reduction aura. It looks cool. Looks really cool. I mean, geez, man. I keep saying that about every ability in this game. Seismic Launch. Quickly dash forward, damaging any enemies in front of you. While channeling, dash can be charged for increased distance and knocks back enemies while reducing incoming damage to Lora. Yeah, these abilities are not written as well as the previous ones were. I think they let the intern type these ones out. Unleash. This is the ultimate. Unleash your spirit, transforming Lora into the avatar for a short period of time. The avatar regenerates health, is greatly resistant to all damage, and can pummel enemies with its fists. It looks like a weird bear? Gorilla bear? I don't know. Sort of looks like the bear form from World of Warcraft, that new one that sort of stands up, you know? It's cool. It's really cool, but it's glowing. It's glowing and it's different color, and it's a different thing. It's definitely a different thing. Channeling is her passive. Lora can channel the power of her avatar by hitting enemies with attacks or abilities. Once her power is fully charged, she enters the channeling state, further empowering her abilities. And that, my friends, is that for Lora. That actually also brings us to the end of the characters themselves. Now, what we're going to do is I'm going to show you and briefly discuss what there is in terms of cosmetics. So in-game, there's a lot of cosmetics to discover. All of it is available like free of charge after you've purchased the game. They can be earned by just playing, doing things, you know, achievements, unlocking stuff, finding them in the world, and so on and so forth. You can also dye your armor and weapons. You can equip emotes. You can transmogrify your gear, and you can change and customize your mounts. There's so much. I think you can also do loading screens, your character badge, and like a whole lot more. I'll show you briefly what there is. If we go from the start here, you have your regular armor to equip, right? And there's a whole bunch of different stuff that you can unlock here. Like, I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot. Then, this is sort of a different set that you can have on, and it goes through every one of these here. And when you go to the style menu, this is the interesting part. You can firstly do the character itself, right? So you have all the different heads here. You have personas, which are full sort of styles. Then you have body, which is the outfit itself. Then you have a signature item. Each character has a different one. Then you have some extra gear and some extra gear, and it just keeps going, right? That's the character itself. Then you can equip trinkets, and these are spread across all the characters that you have. You have your Gloom Dagger. You very early in the game get a new model for this, but there's a lot more of them. It's a very important item that you will discover the use of as you play. And then there is character die. The character die, you have a bunch available right from the start that basically just gives you a quick and dirty way to change the character a little bit, right? A little bit. I just got an achievement for dying 10 times. That's the primary. Then you got a secondary color. Then you got a trim. Then you got immersive, which is it's the glow basically. Then you have custom 1. That's the hair, and there's a lot of different colors here. And I'm going very briefly through this because it's different for all the characters. You know, there's just so much. And then you have custom 2, right? That's the belt. So the custom 1 and 2, you can see it applies to the hair on the character's head and to their unique item, their signature item. And there's a huge amount of combinations that you can go for there. Then you have a full set, as I mentioned, of transmog gear that you can equip here. And then you can also change the weapon colors, which is just ridiculous to me. It's got a primary, a secondary, and an emissive. Once again, the emissive is the glow. That's different for every weapon. But it's a lot of different colors that you have as choices here. And to be honest, once again, the fact that all of this is just free and you can sort of click it and they didn't make it a massive grind. And yeah, you have to unlock stuff by playing, but like, you've got so many choices right off the bat and you don't pay to change either. So that's phenomenal, right? So that's weapon transmog stuff. Then there's a charm here that you can also equip. Then there's mounts, which is just insane. Then there's saddles, which is even more insane. And there's loading screens, which you can equip. There's a bunch of different ones that you can find there. As if all of that wasn't enough. Emotes. A bunch of different emotes. Then I mentioned the character portrait. I'm trying to remember where it is. I think you come over here on the side. Yeah, customize badge. There's a whole customization system surrounding this, where you get to change the background. You have a decent number of choices here, to be perfectly honest. I really like it. Then you can change the little badge in the top left over there. Also a decent number of choices here. Then you can change the colors. And then you can change the title. Very cool. Like, very, very cool. The game just has so much. And that does bring us to the end. I'm sorry if I sort of skimmed over the cosmetic stuff, but most of the cosmetic stuff, you got to play the game. You just got to jump in here, you got to game, and then you unlock all of it. And I love that. It's a good system. It works well because you get to customize all the stuff here quite a lot. There's a whole lot of really cool stuff that you can unlock, and it's worth it. It's worth it. So, Wayfinder. What a fantastic looking game. I am very sorry that it had such a rocky lead up to launch. I'm not going to go into it too much, but I will just say that as it stands right now, I'm so glad that they managed to find a niche that they can fit into, and they managed to salvage this game. There was a lot of drama, and what happened was the development team broke away from the publisher that they were with. They broke away from a live service game with all sorts of microtransactions to be a single release, and it is so good. It's a fantastic look for them. And the game itself, speaking of a fantastic look, it looks so good. I'm not even talking about the characters here. I mean just everything about the game. The art style is magical to me, and I love it. I also like the idea of having characters that you can select, but then also customize, because that allows them to bring story and personality into the game, but it also allows you to have a little bit of fun with it, right? So you're getting the best of both, and I think that this is really the best possible way to give you the best of both. They've done a phenomenal job. It's awesome. I have so many good things to say about this. Yes, it would be cool if you could customize your own character from scratch and make your own thing, and you could, like, you know, give it a class and do all of that stuff, but like what they've done here allows for so much more in a different way, and it's unique. in the way that it's presented. So it's kind of cool. I know that it's not for everyone, but it's definitely for me. I'll say that. And I'm happy with it, and I'm such a fan of everything they've got, and I'm so keen to see more of it. So hey, if you guys have been playing Wayfinder, I'd love to hear about it. If you have any favorite characters, please tell me, so that I know which ones I should be checking out. I'm actually kind of keen to play this with my daughter. It would make me happy to do that. So, thanks for checking this video out. I hope it helped you guys. You can give it a like and share it and do all that other good stuff if you'd like to. It would make me happy. You can find my links below, my coffee page, my Twitch channel, and all the rest. And yeah, happy finding and unlocking those characters. Happy that.